All right. So just before we start, I just want to tell everybody that Neysa is joining me here with Neysa Morrissey and Associates, who is a specialist in traveling and getting all of your corporate gigs lined up, your events if you're a speaker, getting all of your flights, your hotels, making deals up the yin yang. And she's personally helped me through everything I've done through my company, JB Financial, and also eventually Naked Tax Talk. So Neysa, you were asking me a question. Repeat the question so that just in case this gets turned into a video, we can tell the world.
Absolutely. Well, I was just mentioning that through the course of the last several months, I've noticed that you have started a brand new organization, that you are also doing additional speaking engagements,
Yep.
and you're really getting into that speaker world,
Yes.
as well as it seems as though that the Naked Tax Talk is really taking off.
Yes.
One of my questions is which one do you love the most?
Okay, so the truth is that right now I'm absolutely loving my Naked Tax Talk show, mainly because I think finally people are understanding what my show is going to ultimately be about. And not only that though, but I'm also I'm adjusting my message so that's more in alignment with what my life's purpose is. And one of the pillars I realized is that my company is functioning off of 3 pillars of engagement and cell phones galore going bzz, bzz, bzz. And what I'm learning is that so Naked Tax Talk represents 3 main pillars in people's lives. It represents your personal life, it represents our business life, and it represents our cash/tax life. And the reason why I say that is because I discovered, as you said, I've been seeing you making changes in your life. As you know, back and as the time of today's recording, which is January of 2020, so I started in late April, early May, really focusing on changing a lot of my inside, like from inside my own heart, my own mind, right? And part of that was stepping into this thing called acceptance, or stepping into this thing called loving oneself, or stepping into something called minimizing the mindset of scarcity, which I didn't even realize I was living in, and instead changing that to a mindset of abundance. And we hear a lot of my coach, one of my speaking coaches says a lot of woo-woo, but the truth is that the woo-woo-ness is actually very true in the sense that I figured out that we're spending so much time on like our businesses without really thinking about what's happening here on the inside. And what I can tell you personally is that when I started figuring out Jonathan, like who is Jonathan, who, by the way, we still don't know 100% yet, but who is he? And part of who he is somebody who really wants to spread love, happiness, joy, all of those amazing feelings, right? And yet, how does he do this? Oh, I know, because he gave birth to a company called JB Financial almost 17 years ago. And now JB Financial is old enough that it's practically self-reliant, which allows his boss, his owner, me, to go really do the things I want to do, which is to clean up the inside. So when I started cleaning up the inside, one of the very first things that happened to me was changing my sense of value and sense of worth. Now, on an individual level, what that meant for me on a sex level, believe it or not, check out this connection, is that I realized that on a sexual level that men, and this is true of my women as well, like you, that really men are chasing one thing and one thing only, if you know what I mean. And because they're chasing it so much that they will do anything and whatever they can to get it, right? And so I realized, well, wait a minute, then my hoo-hoo is way more important than what I put inside of it. You know what I mean? Like, I am not going to just take whatever comes around and like bang, bang. Like, that's not worth it. So what happened is it translated to business. And what I mean by this is that I realized that my tax genius brain of mine is way more valuable than the person who's trying to come to me and say, but I'm only going to pay you $10 an hour to do the job. It's the same correlation. I don't want to be used like I would have been in the past. And instead, I want to be utilized for my intelligence, for my smartness, for my genius. And so that's the correlation I came, is realizing, oh, shoots, The moment I started to fix this and seeing myself as more valuable, then my business started changing too. And now my business, if you want to become a client of mine, you have to actually apply to become a client of mine now. So it's like, it's the reverse. It's not like I'm just somebody you can pick up on the street and take me to the corner. You have to actually take me to a lot of dates. And then what we're seeing is a direct correlation to the cash and the tax side of it. So you get more cash, right? More money. But money, as we know, is just energy that's just being exchanged between two things or two people. And so what was happening is you have an increase, right? So now I'm a multi-six-figure earner. And so you see that. Now, as a business owner, I go, great, I have all this extra cash. What can I do with it? And now what you're witnessing is I'm reinvesting the money back into JB, which is creating the marketing side of JB, which is Naked Tax Talk. And I'm using that money to start basically partnering with other CPAs and other accountants literally across the United States. I've got right now a situation in Florida. I have a situation now in California. Today, we just signed the contracts. So now you're seeing all of a sudden the work, the bookkeeping, the accounting, all of that is now being outsourced to other people who also want to continue to support my clients. So you're seeing this outreach. You're seeing me like Paige, who was my office manager, is now turning into my directors of operations because now I need somebody to direct everybody in terms of what's happening. So this is the correlation between, like I said, the personal self, the business self, and then your tax and your cash. Oh, and then from a tax side, what we see is a decrease in tax because I'm reinvesting the money back into my company to provide me the services and support that I need in order to keep on expanding and keep on growing.
That is fantastic. So now with that, because I know that that is like a huge endeavor that you've been working on. So from there, I also noticed that you started a new organization.
Mm-hmm.
So for entrepreneurs and that networking aspect, could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Okay. So you might be talking about my meetup group.
Yes.
Is that the one, the Phoenix? Okay. So let me tell you a little story. So it's just a meetup group, and we meet once a month at one of my clients' establishment, Pop and Tea Bar. So shout out to you boys. And they have a tea shop. They specialize in teas and naturally boba. And so they were kind enough to offer me their space just to meet other entrepreneurs. And the reason why I created the Phoenix Entrepreneurs LGBT plus Happiness Group is because I realized that when I got in front of a particular stage that were primarily very conservative, I was poo-pooed like from stage, like legit. Someone is literally in front of everybody else attempted to shoot me down. And I'll never forget that experience because it did a few things. One is it taught me that if you're going to be a public speaker and if you're going to deliver a message, you really want to be speaking to the people that are vibrating at your vibration. Right? So that's the truth. That's the number one thing. It's like you want to find people that are like you so that they can listen to your message and are receiving it. The second thing, though, the group taught me was if a stage doesn't exist for you as a speaker, then you create your own. And I realized I've been doing that my whole life. I wanted to play the violin, so I created a trading situation at the age of 12 where I traded violin lessons in exchange for cleaning someone's yard. I did that for 2.5 years. I wanted to play in my own orchestra as an adult, so I created my nonprofit Phoenix Renaissance Orchestra with my buddy Achilles, who's now the director. So I realized that when Jonathan wants something, he literally creates it. And that's what I realized. We're all creators in this universe. We literally are the creators of our existence. Whatever we want, we just got to go do it. So I created the LGBT plus happiness group because I wanted to bring together other like-minded business owners. Primarily, I'm targeting people like myself who identify as gay and bringing them together so that we can talk very openly about, you know, our coming out story, our struggles as gay people that we're dealing with. And the reason why I put the word plus is because I realized that it's not just the gay people like myself. It's everybody around us. And more importantly, it's all of my allies that surround me and make my dream a reality. So that's why I created this group. So I just wanted us to get together, and we've met 2 months thus far since this filming, and we've had successfully 5 people at each one, and 5 is better than 0, right? And what I do in that group is actually kind of unique. So I allow us to share about who we are, who's our client, your typical networking thing. And then what I do is I offer insight into how we can be happy, how we can find joy, how we can find, content, how we can find these things. And then I let other members also get up and share with us some tips that they might have as well. And then I do another thing, which is here's a tax tip for the day and just the tip only. And then they get in, they say, well, I'm a realtor and here's my one real estate tip for you guys. And then they share us. And so the notion here is that we're each learning from each other in order to make ourselves a better entrepreneur.
That's a wonderful concept. And, and I can relate to that situation that you had in regards to not being able to discuss what you wanted to discuss in the manner that you wanted to, and not have the opportunity to just be your true self. So I just applaud you for finding another avenue for you to be able to speak your mind, say what you need to say, and still give information and positivity and share of yourself. Mm-hmm. And that alone just shows the type of person that you are.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
You.
So now with this Naked Tax Talk, are you looking at making new schedules? Are you kind of trying to do so many in a week or a month? So what will that look like?
That's great. So this is going to be a great video. I'm just saying, we're going to totally air this. Okay. So that's a great question. So Naked Tax. So just so you know, when I started my vision of Naked Tax Talk, it was almost 8 months ago. And again, I had a lot of beautiful women around me that really helped me to make this a reality. And I also had my men counterparts, so don't get me wrong. But I digress. So my women friends, they all were like, how do we help you, Jonathan? How do we support you to make this a reality? So I reached out to a production company, her name is Tony Kaufman, and she owns a company called KDDM Productions. And her peeps basically came out, and we filmed for 2 days. So we filmed 16 episodes in 2 days, and each episode is 45 minutes long. And so her team reached out to the various people that could come on my show. So we interviewed people who are just barely figuring out what they want to do with their lives. We interviewed people who were gold Olympians, like gold Olympians. That was probably my most favorite episode ever. So you have to watch the episode because I do some really fun things that you would never imagine an accountant would do to someone else. And we hosted a lot of our clients so they could kind of share about what they do, and again, to show them kind of how I've impacted their lives, stuff like that. So we did 60 of these episodes, and it turns out it's a long process to edit the videos correctly, because they had like 3 or 4 cameras, different angles, different sounds, different, you name it. It was top notch. Trust me. But because I like to be naked, which, by the way, if anyone who's watching, if you take my quiz, which I created a QR code, if you take my quiz, you'll know what I'm talking about, which is the type of bathrobe that every single one of us wears to my office when it comes to taxes. Because what we discovered is there's 4 types of personalities as it relates to your tax life. And so a naked person, which is a personality type that we discovered, is someone like me who's just, you don't waste time. We've got to move. And when it comes to the tax side of it, it's like, I know what's happening. I have an idea of where my taxes are, but I'm gonna let someone else take total control and let them do everything for me. That's what I'm doing. It's all over there. So those of us who like to show up naked, we don't have time to wait. And I didn't want to wait anymore for these 16 episodes to come out because they're freaking awesome, but I just didn't want to wait. So I created another side gig called Naked Tax Talk Raw, where it's essentially this. You and I are, now I'm doing all the talking, unfortunately, but in this case, it's unedited videos between ourselves, and then we post those online, and that becomes the unedited version of a conversation, right? And then because I realized that eventually, I know me personally, I would love this to be the case. I want to have my own half-day seminars, full-day seminars, and eventually my own 3-day programs. And that we're going to call Naked Tax Talk Live. So I want to do the same exact type of situation where it's you and I now sitting in a comfy chair together, and we're having this one-on-one, and people are live watching and interacting with it. And out of it, hopefully they're getting some inspiration, some motivation, and naturally they're getting some tax tips. So that's where we're headed, right? Like that's the ultimate vision. Speaking of which, 2020 is the year of vision. And
Okay.
that's where I know that's where I'm headed. Is I want to be the star. We all do. Maybe not all of us, but I know I do. And I'm doing my best to promote what it is that I'm about with other people. And more importantly, changing the message around, again, personal, business, and tax. And I'm trying to change one fundamental fear amongst business owners. And the fundamental fear that many taxpayers fear the most is the IRS, especially if you're a business owner. And I'm trying to rephrase that and saying, you know what? The IRS is not your enemy. In fact, they're your friend. They're your friend. They actually want you to be successful if you're a business owner, like legit. And they understand that in order to be successful, it requires money, it requires resources. So instead of them taking it and putting it in their coffers, they want you to use it, to reinvest it back into your company so that you can go do the things that you want to do, which is to deliver your message, to make an impact in the world. Because let's be real, every single one of us wants to make a difference.
Absolutely. So if there could be just for someone that's starting a business,
Yes.
and 2020 is that year, we're in the beginning of the year, and it is a time of kind of like rejuvenation and kind of really finding who you are. So if you could just give a tidbit in regards to where you think or what you feel someone should do, just one nugget of information to take it to the next step for a business owner to be more successful this year, what would that be?
So my word of the year, and it's part of my core message, is self-acceptance. Self-acceptance, sounds very like, oh, that's easy to do. I accept the fact that I'm such and such, right? Like that's easy enough. But it's not surface level. It's not just like, I accept the fact that I have a balding pattern going on, right? Like that's a legit thing for me personally. Like I'm accepting it. Okay. I'm going to be like 40. So I'm accepting it. Right. But it's beyond that. It's truly, truly, truly looking at yourself in the mirror, quite literally in the mirror, looking at yourself in the mirror and not being afraid to compliment yourself. To look at yourself in the mirror and say, like in your case, like looking at you, Neysa, like you looking at you and going like, Neysa, you look so beautiful today. Like, I love your smile. I love like your cute little nose that you have. Like, I love your long hair. I love the color of your hair. But this is you saying it to yourself in the mirror. And I do that. I admit I do that. And here's the thing. When we start to talk to ourselves in the positive light, in a positive sense, we begin to fall in love again with who we really are. We began to embrace the person that we were meant to be in this world. And from there, we can begin to go, okay, well, if I'm really falling in love with me all over again, then what am I really supposed to do in this world? And the key thing about it is every entrepreneur who wakes up and says, I'm going to go create my own destiny, because that's what you do as a business owner. I'm going to go create my own destiny. What you're really saying is that my purpose in life is to make an impact with a whole bunch of other people. And your business is going to be the vehicle that's going to allow you to make the impact. But how do we get there? Through self-acceptance, acceptance of self. Because the truth is here's what really happens. Are you ready? You wake up in the morning, you look at yourself, and you're like, oh my God, look at the bags. Look at my bags. Like they're hanging, and look at the wrinkles. Like it looks so old. And then you stand up, and then you're like, look at my fat ring right here, and I'm so fat and I'm out of shape, or I shouldn't have closed that deal the way I did. How stupid of me. Like, that's the shit that goes on in our head practically all the time. And so if that's true, then that becomes our reality. That becomes what really is true. We walk around thinking we're this old fat dude who doesn't know how to close deals. Like, that's what happens. So if that's the truth, then could not the truth be that we're really loving, we're adorable, we're sexy, we're smart, we're fit, we're healthy, we're all of the positive things? Because then that becomes our new reality. And what happens is our mind, because it's so freaking powerful, it perceives what we are wanting in that moment around us all the time. It's constantly seeing it. And I don't mean like I'm gonna blink my eyes and open it up and I'm gonna see a unicorn on the street. That's not what this is. It's being aware that because I'm in a positive state, because I'm practicing it, I'm practicing we call mindfulness and awareness. When someone says to you, for example, Jonathan, I'd stay in your lane and I wouldn't be talking about personal development because that's not your expertise. Your expertise is taxes. So a negative state of mind who always puts themselves down would go, you're right. Maybe I shouldn't do that. You're right. That's not my wheelhouse. I'll stay out. I will, right? All that's doing is shooting myself in the foot. And I'm actually not doing the things I really want to do. And so the positive mind hears you stay in your lane, you do your thing. But the positive mind goes, thank you so much for the feedback, because that's what it is, right? And the brain, your positive mind, spins it and says, okay, well, then if you're saying I'm not the right person for personal development, then what must I do so that I do become the person that speaks about personal development? And so that's what I'm saying. It's self-acceptance of truly accepting who you really are. And for the first time ever, one can look in the mirror and say, I'm worthy, I'm valuable, I'm sexy as a motherfucker, I am smart, I'm intelligent, I'm this, I'm that, all these positive. And here's the thing, nobody knows you're doing it. Nobody. And how do I know this? Because there's not one single person that can read my mind, just like I can't read yours, just like you can't read your dog's mind. We cannot read each other's minds. Now, you can get people that can pick up on your past, your present, your future, your personality, the things you like to do and don't do, right? Like, you get this. And I'm all about that. But there's one thing that not one single person can do, and that is to read your mind. Your mind, who for you really are. And so therefore, when you're in the bathroom all by yourself and you close the door and now you're just looking at you and you're saying, ooh la la, you're so sexy, you're so adorable, you're so this, you're so that. Nobody knows. No one has a freaking clue but you. And that's all that matters. Because here's something interesting about that statement. What comes in is something called self-judgment. Because what happens now is you're like, you're so sexy, you're so adorable. Oh no, now I'm being conceited. Now I'm being all like righteous, self-righteous to myself. Like, this is the shit that goes on in people's heads. I know so. And all of that is us remembering what other people say and do to us to make us feel ashamed of being conceited about loving ourselves. So if we say to them, go fuck yourself, I will continue to love myself, right? Then I'm gonna tell myself all kinds of accolades in the shower all day long. And then when I come out of the shower and I'm in, my house or I'm in public or whatever, I'm mindful, right? I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna be like, yo, what's up? And people do this, I'm not gonna say no, right? They do it and that's fine. They have a lot of confidence. But for me personally, maybe for you personally or for others watching, it's just knowing that you are the shit and believing that you're the shit. Because here's the third component. If someone comes up to you and says, Neysa, you are amazing at what you do. What you do, Neysa, by the way, and what she does, people out there, is you remove the stress of me not having to worry about my hotels, the cars I'm going to rent. If I get stuck in the middle of France, like happened to me, you're right there to help me get out of it. You worry about the train rides, the plane rides, you name it, right? That's what you do. So the third thing about this is, oh no, I'm forgetting what I was just saying. I hate when it happens. What was I going with this? Self-acceptance, self-love, and darn it, what was I just saying? Shitsy Mootsy. This is a great unedited version, by the way. Dang it. Talking to ourselves, self-shame, people telling us, oh God, I forgot my train of thought. I'm gonna have to watch the video and see. What was I saying? Neysa was so good.
Well, I mean, I think part of it was too is self-acceptance, self-worth, and believing in yourself, and not doing it in a sense of you can't say that you love yourself to yourself
Unless you believe
because
it. Unless you believe it. There it is. Thank you, because that's the third component. People will say, like I was giving you props. So I give you all the props in the world, right? Because that's what you do. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're a beautiful woman, right? Like this is the truth about you. If one doesn't believe it themselves, then I can compliment you all day long. And it goes in one ear and goes out the other. It doesn't stick. And so it's not until you go like, yeah, JB, I know I make your life stress-free. I know that I make your life amazing. Like, no shit, Sherlock. Thank you so much, right? Like, of course, you're not going to say that to me, but you know what I mean? It's like, it affirms it. It's like, yes, baby, yes. One of my friends, her name is Davina, and she says, it's the yeses and amens that you hear in the world. And that is what continues to affirm that you're living in your life's purpose. And for me, I like to say, it is like when you want to do the things you really want to do, and there's no resistance. There's no backlash to what you're trying to do. So until we accept who we are, truly for who we are, including all of our faults, and not judging ourselves on our faults, not being like, oh, you have an addiction, not that I do, but you have like an addiction, or you don't know how to spell, or you don't know how to add, or if we can look at that and go, okay, so you know what? I don't understand ClickFunnels. By the way, this is a thing in the marketing world. A ClickFunnel. What the hell is that? I don't know. And I paid coaches for this. I still don't know. No fault of their own. It's just because doesn't interest me. So I understand that that's my weakness, and I accept it. Like, okay, like I accept it. Like I'm not a ClickFunnel genius. I don't care. It's not my wheelhouse. I'm a tax genius. So in a way I kind of go, that's okay. And I brush it away and I just say, okay, that's fine. Next. Right? That's the acceptance.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So it's self-acceptance. If you can accept yourself for who you really are, and you don't have to tell a single soul other than yourself out loud in the mirror, that's all that matters. And I know that personally, your life begins to shift. Your brain shifts, the mind shifts, and then your business will see the reflection of what's going on behind the scenes. And what your business starts to produce is the outcome of what you're saying to yourself in the mirror.
That's amazing.
So
you are amazing. I just feel as though we haven't had the opportunity to be one-on-one in a meeting for
a long time,
probably this summer,
mm-hmm.
and to just see your growth and your happiness and your smile, it kind of exuberates from you. Whether I see you on Facebook or doing your conversations for Nikki Tax Talk, however I see you on social media, you can feel it.
That's
so
awesome.
I just applaud you for that.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. That's
you're
awesome.
So welcome.
And the truth of the matter is that you as well have that same potential. That's the truth. That's the truth.
So you say it's within all of us.
It is 1,000,000% inside of every single one of us. What stops us from being who we are really from the inside is ourselves.
Touche. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So I am actually going to take some of that, and I'm starting on me. It's the new year.
Yes, baby, that's right. You know what I mean? You're like, what is it? What do you want? What is the Neysa? What's the Neysa here? What does she want? Right? Like she wants something. That's the truth. And the reality is that we all want, well, I would argue and say we all are chasing one main wish, and the wish is to be happy, plain and simple. And every single one of us has a concept of what happiness is. And me, having luckily studied under being a Buddhist for a long time, for almost 7, 8, 9 years now, what we would argue in a way is that happiness really comes from the inside, which is what you hear all the time. And that's ultimately the truth, because each one of us goes, well, I want happiness, so I'm going to look to the outside to provide me the happiness. And now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean like you can sit in a cardboard box and be happy your whole life. Sure, absolutely. Who wouldn't? I mean, if that's the case, why not, right? But there's this thing called reality, that we all kind of coexist with each other. And so what that really means is that I'm feeling down, so I think I'm going to go buy 100 donuts to make me feel better, right? We know that 100 donuts doesn't do well for the body, right? So it's that idea of like, I will go externally to find the happiness. But the truth is happiness is really being generated from right here. And the rest of our world is opening up and expanding, and we're creating that sense of abundance. We hear this a lot of words lately. I've been hearing, this is the buzzword for 2020, is abundance as well. And so we're hearing this abundance that is coming to us. But again, it's all about the mind, because the mind is perceiving, I'm chasing happiness. And to me, what happiness looks like, for me, what happiness looks like is being able to stand up in front of people and say, yes, I am that gay man that came from an extremely poor household that now is a multi-six-figure earner, and I save millions of dollars for my clients. So it's that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So really the question is, Neysa, what is your wish?
My wish is to basically marry the love of my daughter and her aspirations with a business function and purpose. So that has been on my brain. So starting the beginning of this year, I actually started a new company called Traveling Sports Teams. So my daughter does a lot for the USA Taekwondo.
Cool.
She's actually now one of the development athletes. We're headed off to Colorado Springs next week. So we've been doing a lot within the sports arena. And I found that one of the niches and something that makes me happy is to be able to do my business in an arena that I share with my daughter.
Lovely.
And to be able to bring my expertise to folks that need it more than others. So I launched the company at the end of 19, but fully vested it in 20. And right now we're doing a soft marketing,
Okay.
but we should be completed by the end of the month. So it's trying to marry the love of my daughter and what she has a love of with my business. And that really does make me happy.
And only in business/tax life can you actually legit marry your own daughter or your own son or whatever, right? Because in theory, you could create a partnership with your daughter, and the two of you could come together to do business. And so because you're a daughter and a mother, you can create something called a family limited partnership that has different rules and different deductions in terms of how you engage. So only in tax life and in business life could I go out and, I like to say, marry. Like, I'm married, obviously, to myself, and I'm to JB, right? And then I'm now married to two other women, like through a company called Business Warriors Academy. In fact, I'm interviewing them today as of today's filming with you. But yeah, only in taxes can I actually go and marry somebody and like actually do business together. Like, it's the funny concept, but it's true. So marrying what you do, which is the travel expertise in you, correct?
Correct.
So who is your ideal client now? Who do we need to talk to?
So what we're trying to focus on are folks that really need assistance, and that is from elementary school through college. So any sports team, any coach for softball, baseball, football, hockey, taekwondo, karate, that needs that assistance of having the expertise in the travel industry with the hotel connections and airline tours, cars, buses, to be able to marry all that together and be able to give that back to that organization, because a lot of times it's coaches, it's volunteers, it's parents, and they don't always have the time or the expertise there. So we're offering that at no cost to them. And for us, it's the ability to engage them so that they can go off and have fun with their family and the kids and not worry about the back part of it, which is what we are the experts in. So it's kind of a giving back to the community, as well as helping out and doing what we love to do. So any coach, any volunteer, anyone that has a child or a niece or a nephew or daughters and sons that are traveling for sports teams.
Well, I mean, I'm married to a man who coaches, I think it's a new DCI, Drum Corps International. So for those of you watching, if you are a DCI fan, you know what I'm talking about, and WGI. And in fact, you were working on one of our travel itineraries for that particular event for WGI for the championships in April.
Yes.
But he just landed a gig where I think now he's the caption head for a team here in Arizona. And I don't want to say too much because I don't know too much about it. But I will definitely give you the hookup with him because maybe he can get you a connection with his people that he's working with, because it's a big organization, right? I think it's like 100 kids, maybe less than that or something, maybe more. I don't know. All I know is that 11 years together, and we talk at dinner and we share each other's days. And I've yet to ask him how many people are in his actual group. I think he was excited because he had like 51 people audition for his portion of the event, which was
That's
basically the
amazing.
dance, the choreography. So yeah.
That's
So
fantastic.
So I will definitely get you hooked up with that. Anybody out there who's listening, you're hearing what she's saying, right? If you're involved in sports, you're involved in some type of group activity, and she's got the hookup. Now, she also said something really interesting if you were listening, and that is she's saying, look, I can do it for you, and it doesn't cost you. That's what I'm hearing you say, correct?
Absolutely.
Don't we all like free? And who cares how she gets paid? All we know is that we, the consumer, are paying free.
Great.
So that's what I think's cool, personally. So nonetheless, all right. So what is like your word then for 2020?
My word for 2020 is growth.
Okay.
So, and it's multifaceted for us because it's myself growing, having a potential Olympian. Her Olympics will be in 2028.
Ooh.
And being able to grow with her so I can help her and guide her in regards to nutrition and making the right choices and protecting that body so that she's working out and doing everything she needs to do, but she has that long vision versus just I want to lose 5 pounds but then I'm going to gain it back in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
We want a healthy athlete, and as a mother, I want to have a happy child as well. So making sure that she's that well-rounded person so that she can grow. And with that, I'm growing with her and then growing the business. So I think this year, it's really growth in every aspect of that word.
And it sounds like you're saying, so listen, I'm in it to take care of my daughter because I want the best for her. That's the personal side. The business side, I also hear a co-message. And on the business side, what I'm hearing you say is that because I'm a caring person, because I believe in everybody's well-being as a business owner, my business will also take care of you.
Absolutely. And that's that give back that we were chatting about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it makes me happy because if I can help someone else that has that child, maybe it's not the Olympics that they want to go to. Maybe it's just they want to go to that championship. So the family and the coaches, they can just help that child and the rest of the team concentrate on that goal. And then I can help them with everything else. So for me, that is my give back to the community. And I've learned that from my own child. So that's that win-win for me.
And then, so because I'm already decided I'm gonna make this into probably episode number 4 for my show because I'm going on a cruise, right? I leave tonight, so we'll post this video for next week's episode. So, what's a good? How do we get a hold of you? Give us your contact info.
So it is travelingsportsteams.com for Facebook. It is at Traveling Sports Teams for Instagram, and traveling_sports teams. So those are the 3 ways to reach us, or you can call us 480-265. We just got a new number. 265-4805 or admin@travelingsportsteams.com.
All right, cool. And maybe I can use some of my new skills that I'm going to try to type this up so people can actually see it. If not, I'll leave it like in a comment so people can know. Now, out of curiosity, what is one thing that you believe, that's something about you that you seeing it being translated into your business, and maybe you see it being translated into your cash/tax?
I think knowledge. The knowledge that I've brought into my business comes from the experience that I've had since I was 16 years old with Marriott Hotels International and Wyndham Hotels and Convention and Visitors Bureaus. With that expertise, I find ways to do savings for my clients and my groups because of the time that I've been in the industry, whether it's saving them with venues or hotel costs, having that national outreach with the hotels and convention centers. So with that, I'm saving them money. And then on top of that, we're also able to do concessions like complimentary rooms or discounted rooms or upgrades or some type of a suite, amenities in the accommodations. And then from there, sometimes also percentages off in different areas of a hotel or cruise ship or venue. So with all of those areas, we just had a client and we saved them over $400,000 in the course of this year for their travel.
Wow.
So we try to do a cost savings analysis for every program. And even for our smaller events, maybe it's 10 people, we do save on average $2,000 for that particular event. So the tax aspect of it, I would say, deferring to you as that expert, but they can also utilize those receipts and that cost savings and apply to, and you're going to explain to them how they can kind of put that back on how they can save monies in your expertise, in your wheelhouse. So they can travel for the business, and then you can help them save on those tax dollars.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're saving on the tax side, and I'm saving on the spending side.
It's a win-win. I mean, it's a little win-win. What? So where does the story of knowledge come from for you?
Honestly, it's day-to-day living. It's day-to-day being in this industry. You know, I started when I was 16 years old, and I have a lot of years in this industry. So whether it's East Coast, West Coast, domestic, international, smaller hotels, larger hotels, part of it is just time in the industry and watching the industry because it's sort of evolved just like everything else in the world.
Yep.
So taking that evolution and having the past knowledge and keeping current and accredited just gives you that vast wealth of knowledge so that you can guide people. Sometimes you're gonna hear what people think they wanna go and do or see, and sometimes you can give them something even better and get that same experience for less money and less time. So a lot of that is because we've been there, we've seen it, we've done that. There's a lot of imitation people out there, and we've seen it. So we've seen all of the true, authentic. And because of the vast travel that we've done, we have a lot of ideas. If you say, you know, I really want to go to a place that's warm, but here's the dollar figure I want to spend, and it's for X amount of people, we can come up with that for you.
And, you know, and I'll say this too, and I hate to be like so short here, but 3 o'clock, I do have something to do. But with that being said, I want to actually talk about you because here's the truth. So I've utilized your services, I want to say at least twice for sure. But the last one was the most spectacular, and I'm keep getting a ding ding because I'm so popular now that people are like I want to talk to you, So I'm gonna turn that off. Okay, so here's a shout out to you. So people who do not know what you're talking about, maybe I can shed a little bit of light. So this is what happened is I called you up and I said, hey, I'm traveling to Canada. I've got a 3-day event I'm attending. And from there, I'm heading off to France for 3 weeks. And I want to be able to drive around and take a lot of photographs and start building up my vault for Naked Tax Talk, for all of my Naked Tax Talk moments. And so all you said was, okay, so like, do you have a particular, like, do you have a liking for a particular chain of places, or do you want to stay somewhere unique? Like, what are the things you like to do? Like, you were asking me these questions. And so I just said, well, all I know is that I want to go on a road trip while in France. So starting in southern France and then driving up the coast. And my husband wants to see as many castles as we can cram in like a week's destiny, right? And so you said, okay, perfect. So that was it. Like, you did your thing. And next thing you know it, you proposed an entire um, you proposed
Itinerary.
Thank you. And it was like, this is what you're going to do. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. Like, you had the whole thing mapped out. Like, the whole thing mapped out. That quite honestly, all I had to do was pick up the car in this case in Bordeaux, no fault of your own. France had a strike, but I digress. So all of a sudden I'm on the phone with you and I'm like, so I'm stuck in France. I'm stuck in Bordeaux. What do I do? And then you're like, no problem. We'll see if we can get you a car in Bordeaux. So sure enough, you're like, yep, we got one at the airport. You just got to get there. No problem. So I pick up the car. Husband and I, we get in the car in southern France, and we have the itinerary, and my husband's a planner. And so he's going, okay, this is the castle we have to go to first. And so he's like, this is where we're going first. So sure enough, we got there. All the hotels were taken care of. We had no idea where we were going, and I like it. That personally, I like that. So we get there. Every single hotel you hooked us up with was not dirty, was not like gross. It wasn't in sketchy places. They were literally hotels that were like prime meat. Like, they were like 4 or 5-star hotels. And I was shocked at how they were really priced at maybe like a 1 or 2-star level, like in terms of the pricing, but they were like 4 and 5-star hotels. And you put us literally as close as possible to all of the castles we could ever go to. And the closest you got us was to Mont Saint-Michel. And Mont Saint-Michel, they now actually have a gate to the city. You have to actually go in and out. You put us on property so that we could literally just walk. And if you're curious to see these images, by the way, go to my Facebook page, or I'll post it there. But you can see us walking like to the Mont Saint-Michel, which was my husband's dream. And you made his dream come true because we were in Mont Saint-Michel. And not only that though, but like, you really inspired us because we were going to all of these castles that you put together and said, go look at this. And honestly, it was the best experience that honestly I'm hooked on always using a travel agent for all of my future travels, because the truth is you hooked us up with the best places to stay. You hooked us up with the best prices. The car was amazing. Like, everything about what you did, the plane itself, it was so awesome. Not to worry about signing in, checking in, the luggage. It was all taken care of. And I think, Neysa, what is part of your message is that you take away the stress of the I don't know where I am going. And you're letting people like me who like to walk around naked when it comes to their taxes and then just get naked and just travel. And in fact, like I said, you inspired us so much that my husband now, just so you know, so you got to start working on this next itinerary. My husband and I now want to go on a road trip, but now we want to go towards the east coast. Towards the east of France, and travel up towards up northern France. So just so you know, that's going to be your future. That's your future itinerary for us. But that's what peeps out there that are listening to this, and I really got to go. You got to use Neysa and Neysa Morrissey and Associates, because the truth of the matter is that if you're a public speaker, if you're in the coaching world, you're traveling, if you're doing anything like that, there's nothing more amazing than having somebody take it off your plate. And guess what? The IRS understands this because it sees it as a reinvestment back into your company. Now, granted, my trip to France was like 50-50 because I was there for pleasure. And yes, there was some things that I could deduct, and I was there for business. Like I said, taking videos of caves of Neanderthals that used to live in Neanderthals. And like, I now use the video clips to explain how this is what your life is like when you don't tax plan and you encounter big ass black spiders in a cave without you realizing it. Like, So this is what we did. We took photographs in order to use it for my business, but I digress. So you got to use a travel agent, period, plain and simple.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. So Neysa, with that in mind, I'm going to discontinue this particular recording. And with that, listen, I'm Jonathan Bangle, once again here, the host of Naked Tax Talk and JB Financial. I'm not dressed in my normal garb because this is what happens when you plan things impromptu. It's kind of like a quickie if you ask me. So if you really enjoyed today's video, leave us a comment. Let us know how you feel about it. Or better yet, why don't you just subscribe either to my YouTube channel or to my Facebook page, Naked Tax Talk, and get alerts when we come on live, which we're trying to do once a week, where I bring interesting guests, maybe sometimes by myself, maybe naked, maybe not, I don't know. But my point is, if you're really enjoying this, leave us a message, like us, subscribe to us. I'm Jonathan Bangle. Talk to you guys later.